Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Chanel. I'm Stacy. I work on the Michaels education team, and I just want to welcome everyone to Winter Workshop. Today, we're going to be making winter clay animals. So I'm going to show you how to work with the clay, and we're going to just make some cute little animals for the holidays. So I'm glad that you are here. And if you have any questions, or if you're at any point lost or confused, feel free to put a question in the Q&A, and Chanel is going to be very nice and read it out to me so that I can answer any questions, or just read out any fun comments that y'all have. This class is being recorded, as Chanel said, so don't feel rushed to complete it as I'm doing it. I'm going to be doing it probably a little faster than some of y'all, and if I'm just going too fast for you, don't worry about it. Just relax and enjoy the class, and then you can watch the video the day after. The goal here is to just have fun and be creative, and if we've done that, then we've had a success. All right, so with that being said, let's switch it over to my other camera and we can get started.
Stacy, before you get started, we are getting a couple people saying that you're a little quiet. I don't know if there's any way for you to turn up your volume on your end.
I've turned it up a little bit, and I will try to be more vocal. Is that better?
It sounds good to me, so I think we're good.
All right, and then if you're still having trouble, maybe check your audio session settings on your device too. Okay. Oops. All right. So today we're going to be making winter clay animals, and we're going to be using a Creatology air dry clay. I am specifically going to be using white. I'm going to be using black, and I am going to be using orange. Now, you do not have to use these specific colors if you do not want to. You can use your favorite colors. You can use multiple colors. You can use any color you want. So don't worry if you don't have these specific colors, or you don't have enough of these specific colors. It doesn't have to be these colors, but these are the colors I'm going to be using. And then we're going to be making a little penguin, and we're going to be making a little polar bear. So I'm going to start out with our little penguin friend here. And so to start with the penguin, I'm going to get out my black clay, and I've pre-opened it, but if you haven't, make sure that you open your package of black air dry clay. And then you're just going to take a little pinch of it. Make sure it's big enough that you can add all of your little details later, but it doesn't have to be a gigantic piece. You don't have to use all of it, because you are going to need black for, like the little polar bear here, and then there's going to be some details we add on to the penguin. But it's also going to require black. So I'm going to start out with this, and the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to roll this up into a ball, and I do that just with my hands, and then I just kind of go in a circular motion, just like that. That kind of gives me a nice ball shape, just like that. And I'm going to set that down, and I'm going to get out some white. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make his little belly right here. And to do that, I need some white clay. And I'm just taking a little bit of white. And again, this isn't a science. Like you don't have to use the exact proportions I'm using. It's really just about eyeballing it until you like it. So I just got this much, but you can get as much as you want. You can make a bigger penguin. You can make a smaller penguin. All right, so I'm going to do that again. I'm going to do exactly what I did with the bigger ball, the black. I'm going to make this. I'm going to put it in the palm of my hand, and I'm just going to roll it just like that. So I have a more rounded shape. And now what I'm going to do, I'm just going to squeeze it and make it flat. It looks kind of like that. And then I'm going to take my penguin, and I'm going to take my flat round shape, and I'm just going to put it towards the bottom of my penguin, just like that. And then I'm going to use my thumb to flatten it out. You can kind of adjust it a little bit. Clay is very malleable. Basically just means that you can move it around a lot. And there, now our penguin has a nice little belly. Great. All right, so the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make his little flippers. So he's got two little flippers on both sides. And that's what I'm gonna make next. So I'm gonna take some more black clay. And again, not a science, just taking a little bit of it. Not a ton. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my two fingers. I'm just gonna roll it like this. So it becomes more of a line. And then I'm gonna fold it over. And then I'm gonna squish. Just like that. And that makes a flat little flipper. And I'm gonna do that again. So if you didn't quite catch that, don't worry. So the next thing I did is I just put it right on his side there. So I just squeezed it, and make sure you don't squeeze it all the way so that it's becomes part of the body. You want the flipper to be protruding a little bit so you can see that it's a flipper. So just do the top part and just squeeze it with your hands. All right, let's do the other flipper. So again, just taking a little bit of black clay. Don't have to be super precise. Then I'm going to take it in my fingers and I'm going to roll it just like this until I have a nice line. And I'm going to fold that line over and I'm going to squish it flat. And we have a little flipper. Then I'm going to take the top, squish it right onto the side there. And again, you can kind of adjust it. And now he's got little flippers. All right. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make his eyes. So the first part of the eyes is the white of the eyes. So we're going to do the white and then we're going to do his pupils. That way he's got cute little eyes. All right. So I'm just taking a very small amount of white. Do not need a lot here. If you want to make his eyes bigger, you would get more. If you want to make his eyes smaller, you would get less. I want his eyes to be about the same size as this little guy here. So I just took a very little piece. And so now I'm gonna roll it around in my fingers in the most circular motion that I can. I'm just trying to get a little ball. Basically, I just want it to be a small little ball, and it's really small, it's hard to see. And then I'm just gonna squish it so it's nice and flat. And then I'm gonna take the top of my penguin. I'm just gonna put it right there. And now I'm gonna do that again. So again, I'm just taking a very small amount of white clay and I'm just rolling it into as best a ball shape as I can. And again, it doesn't have to be super perfect or super accurate. It doesn't matter if one's a little bigger, one's a little smaller, because your penguin is going to be your own. All right, squishing it into, see, that one's a little bit bigger. I might actually squish it down just a little bit. Anything can be adjusted if you don't like what it looks like. I'm actually going to take a little bit off of that. If you don't like if you think it's too big, you can always just take a piece off. And then squish. There we go. I like that better. And so now we're going to put that on the other side of our penguin. So now we've got two little lights in his eyes. And again, you can do some adjusting after you put them down. If you don't like their position and you don't like where they are, make sure you don't squeeze too hard on your penguin or you might squish him a little bit. You can always, again, you can just kind of like adjust him a little bit. You can tap on him with your fingers to remold him, but just try to be really delicate because he will squish pretty easily. All right, so I got a very small piece of white and I'm getting an even smaller piece of black. I do not need a lot of black at all because I'm just trying to make the little pupil that's going to go in the middle of the eyes. So again, I'm just taking my fingers and I'm just trying to make a ball shape the best I can. And then once I have a nice little shape, I'm going to put it right in the middle of the penguin. Just like that. And I'm not squishing it down all that much because you like the pupil to protrude a little bit. That's the way this guy has it. It looks really cute. It's nice and three-dimensional. All right, now we just got to do that again. Again, just taking a very small amount of black. I'm going to roll it up into a little ball. We can make our little pupil. And then I'm going to put it in the middle of the white to make his other eye. And I'm just squishing it down a little bit, but not a ton. And again, you can adjust it once it's on until you like it. So there, now he's got two little eyes. So now I'm going to make his little beak. Can't have a penguin without a little beak. So to do that, I'm getting the orange out. And again, I'm not taking a ton because I don't need a bunch, but I'm taking a little bit more than I did for the eyes. So now I'm just going to roll this up. I'm not making it into a spear. I'm just rolling it back and forth. So now I have a shape like this. And again, just like we did with the flippers, I'm going to fold it in half. But this time, instead of squishing it flat, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it in my two hands, or two fingers like this. I'm just going to squish it side to side, both up and down, left and right. So it makes sort of a pointy shape like that. And then I'm going to, now I have a little pointy shape with a little flat end. Is going to be our beak. And I want the pointy shape to be the part that's protruding out. So I'm going to take that, I'm going to take the flat end, and I'm just going to put it right in the middle there. There we go.
Is there any way you could show that again? You were kind of off to the side when you were
Sorry.
demonstrating it.
Doing my best to stay in the camera, but it's, you know, sometimes my hands want to go all over the place. All right. So I take my clay, and what I'm doing, I'm rolling it in my fingers just back and forth. I'm not trying to make a spear this time. And then I have basically a line shape, and I'm going to fold it over. I'm going to take it in my two fingers here, and I'm going to pinch it up and down, and I'm going to pinch it side to side. And then you have a little beak. And now you just put it on your penguin, and it comes out looking a little like this. Was that a little clearer?
Yes, thank you.
Perfect. All right, so now we're going to make his little feet. So the feet, they're just little circles. I'm going to take some clay, some orange clay for the feet, the orange, same orange that I used for the beak. And again, I don't need a ton of it. I'm just taking about this much, but again, you feel free to take as much or as little clay as you want. And then I'm just doing that circle shape. So I'm rolling it in my hand, rolling it in my fingers until I have a nice circle shape, a nice sphere. Just like that. And it doesn't have to be perfect, just the best you can do. And now take my two fingers and I'm going to squish because I want a nice flat circle. And once I'm happy with it, time to attach. So I've got my penguin, and so I'm going to put his feet right at the bottom here. I'm going to start with one on one side, and then we'll go with one on the other. And I'm using my finger to squish down just the edge of the feet so that they protrude out a little bit, so that they look like feet. Don't want to squish the whole thing onto the penguin, or else then it's just going to mix with the black. All right, now let's get a little bit more, and we'll do the other foot. All right, I'm going to use about this much, and again, I'm just rolling it into a ball shape, best I can do. And then I'm going to squish it in my fingers and make it flat, like that. Then once I'm happy with it, we're going to put it on the other side of our penguin. And again, I'm just taking with the edge of it and just squishing it down. I'm kind of adjusting it as I go. And then we have our little penguin. And that is how you make the penguin. And again, you can just kind of adjust it a little bit. If you find like, if there's like a little line here, then if I just kind of tap it down with my hand or my finger, I'll kind of get rid of that line. Otherwise, he's our little penguin. So once you're finished with your penguin, you just want to set him aside and let him dry for probably a good, I would say 24 hours would give you the best result. And then once he's all dry, you can play with him and use him for whatever you want. But he does, right now, he's still pretty squishy. So if you were to like squeeze him in your hands or, you know, mess with him, he might fall apart. So you kind of just want to leave him alone and let him dry. And he'll air dry just fine. You just put him somewhere and then he'll be ready to go in the morning. All right. Do we have any questions about the penguin? Is there anything else would you like me to go over?
We don't have too many questions. We did have a couple comments though.
Okay.
One of our attendees said that they accidentally made the nose bigger than the eyes.
Oh, that's okay. Beaks, I mean, penguin beaks can come in all shapes and sizes. And if you make the beak a little bit too big, you can always just take a piece off. And then, like, you can take part of it off if you want, or you can redo the beak if you want. The beak, honestly, it comes off pretty easily.
And Luciana said she didn't have any more white clay.
That's okay. That's totally fine. So there's tons of other colors in here. You do not have to use the colors that I have. You could use pink clay. You could use yellow clay. You could use any sort of color, like basically, like your penguin could be, it could be neon colors. It could be rainbow colors. You could have a blue and green penguin. Like, you do not have to use black and white. So don't worry if you don't have those specific colors. You can use any color you have. Like a good replacement for the polar bear would be the brown clay. If you have a brown clay, you can make a brown bear instead of a polar bear. All right. Are we ready to move on to our polar bear?
It looks like it, yeah.
All right, then I will get started on the bear. All right, so for the bear, I'm going to be using white and black, but like I said, you can use any color you have. Brown would make a really good bear. Heck, you could have a pink bear. You could have any bear you want because it's going to be your bear. But for my bear here, I'm going to use the white. So he looks exactly like he does in this example right here. And so the bear is a bit bigger than our penguin. So I'm going to start with his body here, and I'm going to get a good chunk of white clay. I'm not going to use all of it, but I'm going to get a bigger chunk than I did for the penguin. I still need some white for his head and his limbs. But I'm going to get a fair amount here. He's a pretty big bear. All right, I think that's a good amount. Right there. And again, use any color you have. So again, I'm going to make a ball. So I'm going to roll it in my hands, just like this. We'll have a big ball. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to squish just a little bit. I don't want to squeeze it so it's flat, but just a little bit so that it's flatter. And I'm going to do that on all the sides. I'm kind of making almost a cube. And then that's going to be the body of our bear. Just a nice little cube shape. It doesn't have to be perfect. Your shape doesn't have to be exactly like this. It can be any shape you like. All right, so now that I have the body of my bear, I'm going to make his head. So to make the head, I'm going to grab, again, more white than I did for more clay than I did for the penguin, but I'm not going to use all the clay. So I think that's a good shape because that's a good amount for the head. And again, I'm just going to make a ball in my hands, just like this. until I'm happy with it. And so for the head of the bear, I'm actually going to take one side and I'm just going to squeeze a little bit on the top and on the sides. I don't want to squeeze it flat. So I'm just squeezing a little bit, and that's going to make him a little snout. And that's where we're going to put his nose and his eyes. So once I'm happy with the shape, I just have to put it on the body. And there you can kind of shape the body a little bit. Just kind of squeeze the sides so it gives them a little bit of a neck there. And now I'm going to make his little limbs. So I'm going to take some more white. Don't have to take quite as much this time. I think this amount is fine, but again, just whatever you're working with, feel free to take as much or as little clay as you like, because you will make the size of the bear or the size of the penguin that you want. All right, so I have my clay and I'm just going to roll it back and forth. I'm not making a sphere this time. I'm just rolling it back and forth until I have a line. Once I have a line, I'm going to take one end of it. I'm just going to squish it. I'm going to squish it. I'm going to kind of fold it a little bit. And that's going to make a paw. So once I have the paw where I want it to be, I'm going to add it to the side here, close to the top of the head and close to the front. And again, you can kind of adjust it once it's on there. But that makes you a little front paw. You can kind of flatten it down if you don't want him to have really big shoulders, or if you do, that's totally fine. There we go. And now I'm going to do that again for the other side. Again, just getting some clay. You can get as much or as little as you think you need. But you don't need all that much. So I'm going to take the arm here and I'm going to roll it back and forth in my hand until I have a nice line. Then I'm going to take it. I'm going to take one side of it, squish it with my fingers, and then I'm going to bend it up. It makes a little paw, just like that. And now I'm going to put it on the other side. And again, I'm just pushing it down. I'm not fusing the whole thing onto the body. I still want the feet to protrude out, just like that. And now he's got little paws. So now we're going to do the back feet. So the back feet are very similar to the front feet. They're just going to lay a little bit differently. So I've got my clay. I'm going to use about this amount. And then I'm just going to take it and roll it in my hands back and forth, not trying to make a ball, just trying to make a line. I'm going to take one side. I'm going to flatten it out, just like that, fold it a little bit. And now I'm going to go to the back of my bear. And I'm going to make it so that the back foot, I want it to lay just so it's barely not touching the front foot. Just like that. I want it to be protruding a little bit so you can see that it's a foot. And I want it to be just right behind that front foot. And we'll do that again for the other side. And again, you can kind of flatten it out on the back there. All right, let's do the other foot. And then we can do his face.
After you do this back foot and before you move on to the face, we did have a couple people ask if you can redo the front paw one more time.
Absolutely, I can definitely do that. All right, so I've got my clay. This is going to be my other back paw, and then we'll redo that front paw. So I'm just going to take it in my hand, and I'm going to roll it back and forth until I have a nice line. I'm going to take one end of it, squish it, and fold it a little bit. So it looks like that. And I'm going to go to the other side of my back, the back of my bear. And again, I just want that foot to lay right behind the front foot. And I want it to protrude out a little bit, and it's okay if it kind of overlaps in the back. That's fine, because you can squish it and blend it together. I just want it to be right next to the front foot like that. There you go. All right. And that's how you do the 2 back feet. Let me show you how to do the front paw again. And don't worry, if you need me to do something again, I have tons of extra clay, so I can redo it many times as needed. All right, so I take a little bit of clay. It can be any size you want. This is the size that I'm using. And then I'm going to take it in my hand. I'm going to take my other hand. I'm going to roll it back and forth just a couple of times until I have a bit of a line. I'm going to take my line. I'm going to take one end of it. I'm going to squeeze it, make a little paw, fold it, so it makes a little foot, and then you would just take it, and you would push it down and squeeze on one side of the bear, and then you can tap it down, and then you have your paw. Does that make sense?
I'm not seeing any other questions come in, so I think so.
All right, then I will move on to the head. So the first thing I'm going to do for the head is we're going to make his little ears. So the ears are going to be pretty simple. There's a couple ways you can do it. I'll show you one way and I'll show you the other way, and then you can do it any way you want. So the first way, and probably the easiest way, is to just take a little bit of clay and you're going to roll it into a ball. Best you can, just roll it into a little ball, just like that. And then you're going to take your 2 fingers and you're going to squish until you have a flat piece. And then you take your head and just towards the back, you can put your ear. And then just squish it down the best you can. So that's one way you can do the ear. So another way you could do the ear is you could actually just pinch a little bit of your clay on your head and make an ear that way. So you can either add another piece to make the ear, or you can just pinch the head a little bit with your fingers to make a little ear. Either way works, but if you want to save yourself a little clay, that might be a good option if you're running a little low on the white. All right. So our bear has 2 ears now. So now I'm going to do his little eyes. So for that, I'm going to need the black. And again, just like the penguin, for the eyes, I'm not using a ton. I'm just using a very little amount. And then I'm going to roll it into a ball. And once I have it in a ball, I'm going to take it and I'm going to put it on one side of his face. So he's got a nice little eye. And I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. And you don't have to squish it down too much. Again, it can still be protruding a little bit to give it that little 3D look. All right. Actually, don't do that much. There we go. All right. I'm going to be using this much for the other eye. And again, I'm just going to roll it into a ball. So I'm happy with the shape. I'm going to take it and put it on the other side here. Just like that. And you see his eyes. See, his eyes are a little bit big, but that's okay because he's my little guy. He can have big eyes. And now it's time to do his nose. And the nose can be a little bit bigger than the eyes because usually the nose is a bit bigger, so you can use a little bit more clay. And then I'm going to roll it into a ball again until it's a nice ball shape. And then I'm going to take it, I'm going to just squish it right there onto his face. Again, he's a little bit bigger than this guy, but that's okay. A little easier to see anyways. Okay, so now I'm going to give him his little scarf. Now to do this, you can take a Chanel stem. If you have any Chanel stems, or if you just want him to be a polar bear without a scarf, that's totally fine too. But I'm going to take this Chanel stem and I'm going to cut it in half. Make sure that if you are cutting, make sure that you're using kid safe scissors. I don't want anyone to get hurt. But I'm just going to be folding this Chanel stem in half, just like this. And then where it's folded, I'm going to just snip it. Just like that. And then I'm going to use just one of the halves to make his little scarf. To make the scarf, I'm going to wrap it around his neck. And again, he's real delicate, so be real careful with him. And just wrap the Chanel stem around his head best you can. If it's still a little too big, you can snip it again. Careful. Be careful with yourself and be careful with your little creation. And then he's got his little scarf. And you can bend the Chanel stems out a little bit so you can see the ends. But there, he's got a little scarf. And you see I used red here, but he's got blue here. You can use any color you have. And again, if you don't have any Chanel stems, it's not a big deal. He can just be a regular polar bear without his little scarf. Those are our two little winter animals. Do we have any questions about the polar bear or any other questions about the penguin?
We don't have any. We do have. Malin asked if you can redo the base of the polar bear. And Jason asked if you can redo the back legs.
I can redo, yes, I can redo both of those things. Okay, I'm actually going to get out some extra white since I am running out here. Very good. Sorry, this other clay is very gooey. If your clay is really gooey, just work with it a little bit and it'll solidify. But this stuff is very sticky. Okay. See, very sticky. Very, very sticky. Actually, I might just put this over here and just try to work with the regular clay because that is way too sticky for what I'm trying to do. Okay, so I can redo the face. So let's take the face off of our polar bear. We can redo it. Again, it's pretty easy to take this stuff off so you can adjust. All right, so let's redo that face. So first thing you're going to do is you're going to get a little bit of black and you're going to roll it into a ball. Once you have the ball, you're going to take one side of the face. I'm just going to put it down. Again, you don't have to squish it down super hard. Kind of want it protruding a little bit. And then you're going to do the same thing on the other side. You're going to roll it into a ball, just like that. And take the other side of the polar bear. And give him his second eye there. And again, you don't have to tamp it down super hard. And then the nose is just going to be a little bit bigger than those eyes. Make it a little bit more black. I'm just going to do the same thing, rolling it into a ball of a nice round shape. And then putting it right there on the end for his nose. And that's how you do the face. So for the back legs, I'll redo a back leg so that you can understand that. So I'm going to take a little bit of clay. And I'm gonna roll it in my hands just like this. Back and forth. We're not trying to make a round shape or a sphere. I just need a nice line. So once I have my line, I'll take one end of the line, squish it down, and bend it forward. And that's gonna make a leg. And then we take the back of our bear, and you just want to line that back leg up so that it is barely touching that front leg. And then you just squish it down and just make sure that you don't squish it so that it's completely against the polar bear. You want the leg to be protruding a little bit so you can see it. But that's how you do the back leg. And then you just do the same thing on the other side. All right, do you have any other questions?
No other questions.
All right, well, if that's the case, then I will go ahead and do my outro. We could switch it back to my other camera here. Thank you all so much for coming to today's class. It was really great talking to everyone. If you have made a penguin or a polar bear and you want to share it on social media, just ask your parent or guardian and share it with the hashtag Make It With Michaels and hashtag Michaels Classes. We would love to see what you did. And make sure to tune in again tomorrow. We're going to have another wonderful winter workshop class, same time, same place. But yes, thank you so much. And I hope everyone has a great rest of their day. And I hope everyone has a very happy holidays. Thanks, everyone.